This is Nerlens Noel, a defensive powerhouse with elite athleticism and shot-blocking capabilities. A high-flying big man with a towering presence who could protect the rim with authority.
Imagine this. You're 23 years old. The Dallas Mavericks just put a $70 million contract in front of you. That's generational wealth. A life-changing deal. Most guys would have signed that paper so fast the pen would have exploded. But not Nerlens Noel, because he had an agent in his ear. Rich Paul, LeBron's guy, one of the most powerful figures in basketball, telling him, "Don't take it. You're worth more." So Noel bets on himself. And that decision, it didn't just backfire. It set off a chain reaction that torched his career, drained his bank account, and ended with a lawsuit against the same agent he trusted with his future. And today, we're breaking down how one choice cost him tens of millions of dollars, and maybe his entire NBA career. Let's get into it. Back in 2013, Nerlens Noel was the guy. At Kentucky, he was a human highlight reel, a 7-footer with a 7'4" wingspan, freak athleticism, and shot-blocking instincts that had scouts on the edge of their seats. Even though he tore his ACL in college, he was still drafted 6th overall. That's how high general managers were on his potential. And in the NBA, he flashed exactly what people expected. Rookie year with Philly, he averaged 9.9 points, 8.1 rebounds, and 1.9 blocks. That put him in elite company. Only a handful of rookies in history had matched that defensive production. Fast forward to 2017. Noel lands in Dallas after a midseason trade. And in just 22 games with the Mavericks, he put up 8.5 points, 6.8 boards, and 1.1 steals per game. But forget the box score. The advanced stats loved him. He ranked top 10 in the entire league in defensive box plus minus during that stretch. He was exactly what Dallas needed. A rim-running, lob-finishing big who could anchor a defense behind Dirk and Harrison Barnes. He meshed perfectly with the Mavericks system, providing the rim protection and high motor athleticism they craved. Nerlens became a restricted free agent at the end of the season, and the Mavericks, impressed by his potential, made their move. They offered him a deal. 4 years, $70 million. For context, that was more than what Giannis Antetokounmpo was making on his rookie extension at the time. More than what Nikola Jokic was earning that same season. It was serious franchise centerpiece money. And then came Rich Paul, who at the time, his agency, Clutch Sports, were on an absolute tear. They had a superstar client list, headlined by none other than LeBron James. Their philosophy was simple: don't settle. Don't take the first offer. You are worth more. So picture this. Nerlens Noel is at Ben Simmons' birthday party, a Clutch Sports hotspot. And that's where he meets Rich Paul. Paul tells him straight, "You're not a $70 million player. You're a $100 million player." Think about that. You've been grinding your whole career for a payday, and one of the most powerful agents in basketball tells you you're worth 9 figures. Someone who has negotiated over $4 billion in NBA contracts. So Noel listens. He fires his old agent, signs with Rich Paul, and rejects the Mavericks' $70 million. Instead, he accepts the 1-year qualifying offer, $4.1 million. The logic? Simple. Play out 1 more year, dominate as a starter, then hit free agency as an unrestricted free agent in 2018. Cash in for a max contract, somewhere in the $100 million range. Risky? Sure. But if it worked, Noel would have gone down as a genius. Problem is, it didn't work. At all. What Nerlens and his camp didn't realize was that the market for big men was already shifting. The league was going small, and teams were no longer willing to throw huge contracts at traditional centers. The gamble was already losing, and the dice had barely left his hand. So, what happened? The very next season, the one he was supposed to dominate and earn that big deal, turned into a nightmare. Noel plays just 30 games. A thumb injury sidelines him for months, and when he is on the court, he was barely producing. His points per game were cut in half, from 8.5 points per game to a 4.4. his rebounds declined, and his defensive numbers slipped. And suddenly, he looks less like a franchise cornerstone and more like a rotational piece. His minutes per game also plummeted, from over 22 minutes down to just 15 per game.
And he was even suspended by the NBA for 5 games.
And here's the kicker. During that same season, there were big men across the league that were getting paid. They stuck with their teams and accepted what they negotiated. Steven Adams signs a 4-year, $100 million deal. Clint Capella cashes in for 5 years, $90 million. And Rudy Gobert? He goes on to sign the max. Noel should have been right in that mix. These are all big men within his realm of skill sets. I mean, none of them are shooting step-back three-pointers or are filling up the points stat sheet. No, they all play D, set good screens, and grab rebounds. Instead, Nerlens Noel is now on the outside looking in.
By the time free agency rolled around again in the summer of 2018, the max contract he and Rich Paul were chasing was a distant fantasy. The NBA market had dried up. He wasn't the hot commodity he was a year prior, and the Mavericks, who had a young star in the making in Luka Doncic, had moved on. They never even came back with a second offer. Mark Cuban later said, "We never got there." Nerlens is forced to settle for the veteran's minimum, a 2-year, $3.7 million deal with the Oklahoma City Thunder. From there, his roles are getting smaller and smaller. Backup minutes and defensive specialist. That's it. By the time he's in New York, he's making around $5 million a year. Let's break down the financial carnage. That $70 million he walked away from would have paid him an average of $17.5 million a year. After the 2017 season, his financial reality was a gut punch. From 2018 to 2023, the 5 seasons following the failed gamble, Noel's total earnings were just over $25 million. Contrast that with the $70 million he was offered, a difference of nearly $45 million. And this doesn't even account for the long-term security of a multi-year deal and the subsequent endorsements and opportunities that come with it. One signature away from life-changing money, gone. But this story isn't just about bad luck. It gets messy. The relationship between Nerlens and Rich Paul, once a partnership built on trust and ambition, completely fell apart. The souring of their bond was inevitable. For Nerlens, it wasn't just a bad decision, it was a betrayal. He believed he was given faulty advice that ruined his career. And in 2021, he decided to fight back. He filed a lawsuit against Rich Paul and Clutch Sports, seeking $58 million in damages. According to him, Paul told him to reject Dallas's offer, then ghosted calls from teams who were legitimately interested. Nerlens' complaint alleged breach of fiduciary duty and negligence, claiming Paul ignored calls from other teams during free agency and neglected his career. He alleged that teams like the Houston Rockets and Philadelphia 76ers, his former team, were trying to contact Paul, but the agent was unresponsive. Essentially, Nerlens was accusing Paul of prioritizing his top clients, like LeBron, and letting Noel fall through the cracks. But here's the twist. The case doesn't stick. It was dismissed because Nerlens' contract with Clutch Sports included an arbitration clause, a standard practice in the industry. By 2023, not only does Nerlens lose the case, he actually has to pay Clutch their full commission on the $5 million Knicks contract he had previously refused to pay. Imagine that. You reject $70 million, you sue your agent to get it back, and you end up writing him a check instead. So where does that leave Nerlens Noel today? In the end, his career never recovered. The promise of a young star, once a lottery pick, an all-rookie first-team selection, all gone. He bounced around the league, a journeyman for a few seasons before ultimately falling out of the NBA. From Dallas's next cornerstone to a cautionary tale whispered in every rookie's ear when their first big contract comes around. All because of one decision, one piece of paper. Here's the million-dollar question. Who's really to blame? Was this all Rich Paul's fault, convincing Nerlens to reject the bag, then leaving him high and dry? Or was Nerlens simply unlucky, injured at the worst possible time,
in a league that moves faster than anyone can prepare for. Because, let's be real, most of us would have taken the $70 million without hesitation. But at the same time, isn't betting on yourself what greatness is all about? The NBA is brutal like that. The line between millionaire and forgotten is thinner than you think. And the tragic case of Nerlens Noel proves one thing. Sometimes, the gamble isn't worth the roll of the dice. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit subscribe, because next time we're looking at another star who fumbled the bag. Trust me, you don't want to miss it.